We're just 40 days away from the world's biggest showpiece, the FIFA World Cup 2026, to be held in Mexico, United States, and of course Canada. First fixture of the tournament will see Mexico, the co-host, facing off against Bafana South Africa, and what is a repeat of the first World Cup first fixture, opening fixture rather, and the 2010 World Cup. However, it's a reverse fixture this time, which will see Mexico welcome Bafana at the Azteca Stadium in Mexico City, while Bafana will be based in Pachuca. Good afternoon, welcome to it. This is all things football unpacked. My name is Apiwe Roto. We are in the month. It's football mayhem in the month of May as we approach the end of the 2025-2026 football season. Let's show you what you can expect from a footballing perspective for the month of May. The Betway Premiership draws to a close and on 23rd of May, while the Spanish La Liga and the Serie A will come to an end on the 24th of May, along with the English Premier League, Spanish La Liga, Italian Serie A will all come to a close on the 24th of May, where we will be crowning league champions. UEFA Champions League final will be on the 30th of May. The Pushkas Arena qualifying knockouts of Total Energy Africa Cup of Nations have all come to a close. The FA Cup final will be on the 16th of May at the Wembley Stadium, which will see Chelsea taking on Manchester City, despite firing their coach in Liam Rossignol. Carabao Cup was also concluded, has also come to an end after where we saw Manchester City beating Arsenal by 2-0. Nedbank Cup final takes place today. Kickoff for that fixture is at 1800 hours. Last but not least, the world's biggest showpiece, the 2026 FIFA World Cup, which will be co-hosted by USA, Canada, and Mexico. Mexico and USA are no strangers to hosting the tournament. USA hosting it back in 1994, while Mexico hosted it twice in 1970 and 1986. Plenty's been happening in the world of football. Soweto Derby, which has drawn a lot of controversy following pre-match match warm-up, which was interrupted by security personnel coming to blows. And of course, the controversy that has come with the FIFA World Cup and the tickets or whatsoever. Mr. Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture has had a lot to say. I have the statement in my hand. And I'm going to read to you on the show what the Office of the Ministry of Sports, Arts and Culture in the Republic of South Africa had to say. And of course, a lot of football politics happening in the FIFA. Kenyan Football Federation, I've got the document here, and they have written by FIFA, who will be conquered the Golden Boot winner. Got Kylian Mbappe currently leading the charts despite Real Madrid being knocked out. Harry Kane is 2 goals shy of equaling the record, 3 from beating that record. Assist leaders, I've got the works. Let's start with headlines making headlines in the world of football. Kaizer Chiefs coach in the Soweto Derby, of course, he expressed displeasure at the events that over the Soweto Derby brawl, which transpired involving security personnel of Orlando Pirates in the midst of a warm-up, citing it as unacceptable and causing danger to the safety of the players. Now, we saw what happened during the duration of prior to the derby, where we saw security personnel coming to blows. We're not sure what was going on. Apparently, there were some chemicals that were sprayed on the field during warm-up, which left some certain individuals displeased. Therefore, a confrontation ensued, which led to a fist fight, which was eventually intercepted by the which resorted to the police officers the cops interfering with that event. Rather, the event speaking to the media, the tension now. There's always tension. Now I must remind you that there's always tension when it comes to the Soweto Derby, especially in the Soweto Township, because both teams are from Soweto, Orlando, and Perfedi, hence the nickname, the Perfedi Glamour Boys. Inside the FNB Stadium, now the game was delayed twice due to late arrival of spectators. The game went from being postponed for 15:30, then 15:45 in a game that was kicked off, which kicked off was supposed to kick off at 1500 hours. However, I would go on to kick off at quarter to four, 15:45 that is. Now, just before the kickoff, there was an ugly confrontation between the security personnel, a brawl during the warm-up session involving Kaiser Chiefs players and an official against and of an official against Orlando Pirates security personnel. Now we're not sure what the root cause of the incident was. Now the Kaiser Chiefs players, however, would leave the pitch temporarily before returning after the tensions cooled down. Now, Khalil coach Khalil Ben Youssef broke silence, expressing his displeasure in a statement reading, "I think what happened before the game is something we cannot accept." Ben Youssef, he was saying, stated in the post-match press conference, "We are setting a bad image of our football. People are waiting to watch full football, but what we saw before the game is unacceptable. I think this kind of situation is a shame. If you want to win the league, you cannot do it like this. You need to do it clearly." This is a statement he made in the post-match interview.
If you may just please give us a brief summary of the match from your perspective.
I think before I start to discuss about the game, I have to send a small message. I'm not from South Africa, but I know how many people they watch the game, how many people they are waiting, how many calls I receive. They ask where they can watch the game, and I think what happened before the game is something we can't accept. We are sending a bad picture about our football. People they are waiting to see the football, but what we saw before the game, we can't accept. I think if you want to win the league, if you want to beat the teams, you have to win with football, not like that. It's about safety. We spoke about safety. People from outside coming, fighting with our player in our warm-up, in our half. I think this kind of thing it's shame, and we can't accept this kind of situation. And like I said, football, if you want to win the league, win it, and you deserve to win it with football. And then people, they will say you deserve to win the league. Not like that.
Now you can catch the rest of the story on YouTube, the rest of the press conference interview on YouTube or on the Kaiser Chiefs website, where he states that he did this kind of behavior is unacceptable. We concur here at All Things Football, as football is meant to bring people together, unite people together, as the late great Nelson Mandela our former statesman rather, once said. Sport is meant to bring people together, not to divide them. From any form of violence, and the game of football is not acceptable. Will not be tolerated. It is inexcusable it is just as inexcusable. It is called the beautiful game for a reason. Therefore, such images give the game a bad image and a bad look. Now, if you must know, the Soweto Derby is watched everywhere in the world. You could go from France to London to Brazil. It is among one of the biggest Soweto derbies in the world. The most watched in the top five after the River Plate and Boca Juniors. One of the biggest events, Soweto biggest football derbies rather, watched on the continent before the Boca Juniors, the River Plate, and of course a Clasico between Barcelona and Real Madrid. Moving on to our second story, Bafana head coach Hugo Broos has made a clear indication regarding his final FIFA World Cup squad. Now it's not a story per se. However, we're going to take a look at stars who could potentially make the FIFA World Cup squad, with the coach having made Coach Hugo Broos having indicated that he has already made up 70% of the final squad going into the World Cup. With you now, let's have a look at some of the players who might just make their way into the squad, with others having to fight for positions, and others having. Furthermore, you have players that have to throw their names in the hat. There is Brennan Peterson has been intentional after was intentional with his performance against Orlando Pirates in a man of the match display. Therefore, now let's look at the expectations that are expected from FIFA Cup going into the World Cup. Now, all teams, including Coach Hugo Broos, are expected to submit a provisional squad to FIFA between the 11th and the 14th of May, with each country required to name 35 between 35 and 55 players, which will be cut down to 26, which will be called up. Now, the coach has stated that 70% is already implies that he has 18 or 19 players who are already logged into his final team. You regulars will most likely include Mamelodi Sundowns captain Ronwen Williams, Tebogo Mokoena, of course, of not forgetting attacking midfielder Relebogile Mofokeng, and of course also in our parties are most likely to make the final squad. England-based Blind Foster, Chicago-based Chicago Fire-based Mbezi and Bogazi are also expected to make the final squad after featuring in on recent squads regularly. In the recent squads, and not forgetting the Africa Cup of Nations, which took place in Morocco. Another one is one of regular Sebo Angeza now, who faces a race against time to be fit following a meniscus injury. Now, the 20-year-old did not refuse to have surgery. However, he will need to have to prove his fitness to warrant a call-up. Not forgetting former Supersport United, Ime Gon, who now plays as trade for Hannover 96, or play their football in German Bundesliga too. Was the 20-year-old was part of the Bafana squad who played Panama in a two-legged tie. Not for other names include Luke Leroux, who formerly played with the Orlando Pirates, and of course Mohamed Kota, who now plies his trade in Saudi Arabia with Al Attifaq. Not forgetting gift links. Now, it is unlikely that he will mention gift links. However, he's been intentional with not calling Timmy Gosiloch. Links has not played for Bafana Bafana since 2021, having last made his Lodge has not played for Bafana Bafana since the year 2022. Moving right along, we'll move back to South Africa, where Battery Premiership side who will be taking part in the Nedbank Cup final for the year for this year's Nedbank Cup final, formerly known as Maritzburg City, get a second bite at the cherry this season, as they'll be looking to right their wrongs, and that from the 28 where they fell short in the 2018 Nedbank Cup final at the hands of the then Free State Stars by losing by an odd goal at the hand, a goal that was scored by Harris Chilambo at the Cape Town DHL Cape Town Stadium. They've since received a fitting send off with plenty of backing from the KwaZulu Natal MEC of Sport, Arts and Culture ahead of the Nedbank Cup final against the Rockets TS Galaxy. Now they received the send off and go as they go to compete with high level provincial backing and a touch of birthday cheer. Now, the PSL returnees gathered on Tuesday afternoon at the Southern Sun Garden Court Hotel, where the MEC for Sports, Arts and Culture and KZN Mtomuhle Nkaula alongside his senior officials to personally rally behind the team, stating that the visit was not just ceremonial, it carried the weight of provincial pride as players, technical staff, and management soaked in the moment before their biggest match of the season. Now, speaking to the minister, he's described the moment as a milestone, citing highlighting it as a club's journey to final presence for KwaZulu Natal. This is a huge milestone for the province. Durban City FC has carried the hopes of KwaZulu Natal with pride. We are fully behind the team for this historic season, he went on to say on his social media account. The speaker we take to Instagram account with Durban City also had their share with their statement saying Durban City had the honor of welcoming the Honorable MEC and his cabinet today as they visited the team to show their support ahead of the Nedbank Cup final. The Honorable MEC described the occasion as a huge milestone for the province, recognizing the significance of Durban City reaching the final and the pride it has brought to KwaZulu-Natal. In celebration of his birthday, the club chairman, alongside head coach Bitso Hlahla and captains Pamandla Nxanana, presented him with a Durban City Heritage Kit as a token of appreciation. Chairman Ferrer Kabodia thanked the Honorable MEC and his cabinet for their continued support on this journey for the club. we wish Durban City, and we wish both, now all things football would like to wish both Durban City and TS Galaxy all the best for today's fixture, which will be played at the new Peter Mkaba Stadium. TS Galaxy will be looking to win their second trophy, while Durban City will be looking to right their wrongs from 2018 and become the first KZN based side to win a domestic trophy since Golden Arrows in the year 2009 with that MTN 8 then. Moving right along, current TS Galaxy interim coach Bernard Parker has come out with a statement where he demanded a competitive spirit from the Rockets going into the Nedbank Cup final later this afternoon. Now, the former Kaizer Chiefs attacker took over as interim coach following the dismissal of mentor Adnan Bogdanovic following a string of poor results, which saw the Rockets going 10 matches, 10 match win go on a 10 match winless run. Coach Bernard Parker has took over the game against Magesi, which finished in a goalless scoreline. Speaking to the media on Tuesday afternoon, the former Kaizer Chiefs striker stated that his main focus was to turn things around in the mental and physical aspects of the players. We're going to say, trying to turn things around in terms of physical aspect and also the mental aspect of the players. The physical part is to make sure they are explosive, to make sure that they get to be aggressive and also be on the front foot, being provocative, being proactive, I beg your pardon. Reason why is because of the demands of the league, Parker told the media. At the same time, it's also to make the players feel important. They get a little more. They get a little more important about themselves, to feel a little bit more important about themselves, and also to psych them up in a way. They must take pride in what they do, and also while taking pride in diligently they do it diligently with the responsibility at the end and joy. So I have come up and designed a few training sessions to lift the spirit in the team, come up with competition stuff so that we get to come back to the competitive spirit we've been lacking. The former DDC tactician further indicated that it's tough to turn things around so quick, so they will implement whatever it is that they have to. Now, Bernard Parker is a former Kaizer Chiefs attacker and is synonymous with the man that with have were looking to and will be looking to win the first coach rather to win the Nedbank Cup as both a player and a coach after winning it in 2013 with Kaizer Chiefs, where he scored the winner in extra time against the then SuperSport United at the Moses Mabhida Stadium, looking to be only the second man rather, after Dance Malesela, who won it both in 1988 and 1990 with Orlando Pirates and 1998 with Mamelodi Sundowns before winning it with TS Galaxy in 2019. Moving on to another story, the Zimbabwe national team has confirmed that head coach Marian now the Zimbabwean Football Association has announced that Marian Marinica rather has resigned from his position as head coach of the Zimbabwe senior national team. The Romanian tactician was appointed in November 2025 to take over Michael Neres, who was relieved of his duties following a poor show at the World Cup qualifying campaign for 2026, where they were paired with Bafana, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, and of course Rwanda. Speaking with the statement was made by the Zimbabwean Football Association, which states is ZIFA for short, which states that the Zimbabwean Football Association announced that Marian Marinesa has resigned from his position as head coach of the Zimbabwe senior national men's national team, citing personal reasons. Zimbabwean Football Association has accepted his resignation and thanks Coach Marineka for his contribution to the Warriors. The association wishes him well in his endeavors, in his future endeavors. Keitaro Tembo has been appointed as interim head coach and will lead the team for the upcoming Unity Cup assignment in the United Kingdom. He will be assisted by Teksho Chinyama, who has been appointed as assistant coach. Moving right along, speaking of which, now there's a lot that has been happening in Kenya. Now, we're not too familiar with the Kenyan Football Federation. However, FIFA have gotten involved, have somehow gotten a wind of the what events that transpired. Now, I have a mail form that was sent to the Kenyan Football Federation in my hand by FIFA, the Federation of the International Football Association, the world's football governing body that controls CAF, CONMEBOL, CONCACAF, CAF, all the nations, Oceania, and all the other continent confederations you can think of. Now the address said now the letter was sent by email and addresses the situation of the Kenyan Football Federation, stating, dear members of the FKF National Executive Committee, it has come to our attention now the letter was written on the 26th of April, which was on the last Sunday, from Paris, which was received from Britain and from, it comes from Paris and France, written on the 26th of April in 2026, stating this, reciting over the situation of the Kenyan Football Federation, stating, written, dear members of the FKF National Executive Committee, it has come to our attention on or around 24 April 2026, the National Executive Committee of the Kenyan Football Federation adopted a resolution pursuant to which the FKF President, Mr. Hussein Rashid Mohammed, and nominated member of the National Executive Committee, NEC for short, Mr. Abdullahi Yusuf Ibrahim, and the Acting General Secretary in Mr. Dennis Gichero were required to step down from their respective functions on a provisional basis, which was the solution. We wish to inform you that FIFA, in coordination with the Confédération Africaine de Football, or which is written now, that's the French version of the Confederation of African Football, CAF for short, which is for Africa's football by the body, is currently assessing their matter with a view to gaining a clear and accurate understanding of the circumstances surrounding the adoption of the resolution, as well as its compliance with the Kenyan Football Federation status with regard to the information and elements that led to the attempt to adopt the resolution. This case is now being treated with due seriousness and attention. In this case, CAF is currently assessing the case itself, including the underlying elements and circumstances. In this context, for the purposes of this ongoing assessment, we kindly request the cooperation of the FKF, Kenya Football Federation, National Executive Committee, in providing information and documentation enabling us to verify whether the process leading to the provisional dismissal of the above mentioned officials was conducted in accordance with the FKA statuses, in particular Articles 38 according to the FIFA rulebook, particular with Articles 38, 40, and 41 thereof. Now, this does not just apply with the CAF rulebook, it also applies with the FIFA rulebook. Therefore, this includes inter alia. This includes inter alia clarification as to at the applicable quorum and voting requirements with. Now this includes, okay, let me start that over. This includes inter alia clarification as to how the meeting at which the resolution was allegedly adopted by convened was adopted, how was alleged in which the resolution was allegedly adopted and was convened. Whether the applicable quorum and voting requirements were met, it remains to be seen. However, it is a matter that still, now it's up to the Kenyan Football Federation to respond. I'm sure they've been given an amount of time to respond to the article that was handed by FIFA over the decision to subject to require the following gentlemen to step down for their position. Now, positions, it goes on to say whether the affected officials were duly granted their statutory rights to be heard prior to the adoption of the resolution as required as per Article 41, Paragraph 4 of the Kenyan Football Federation statuses. Furthermore, we request that we request that you provide a detailed justification underlying the adaptation of the resolution together with the copies of all documents, records, correspondence, and or other materials that were relied upon by the National Executive Committee in reaching its decision. Now, the statement goes on to say, for ease of reference and in order to facilitate a comprehensive review by FIFA and CAF, we would appreciate receiving the following documents and information. The documents have been penned down in bullets. I'm going to read them to you. They are right here in my hand at my disposal, sent by FIFA on the 26th of April, which was last week Sunday. The first one is written, the documentation relating to the convocation of the Kenyan Football Federation National Executive Committee of meeting of 24 April, including any request for such meeting by executive committee members, notices of meeting and proof of circulation thereof. The agenda of the National Executive Committee meeting at which the resolution was discussed and or adopted, evidence required relating to the quorum and voting at the relevant meeting, including attendance records and voting results, any proposal submitted to place the common motion for provisional dismissal and on the agenda of the National Executive Committee. All documents, materials, or report presented to the National Executive Committee in the justification of the decision to provisionally dismiss the aforementioned officials. Confirmation together with the last but not least, confirmation together with the supporting documentation where applicable, that the Kenyan Football Federation President, Mr. Hussein Rashid Mohammed, Mr. Abdullah Yusuf Ibrahim, and Mr. Dennis Gicheru were each afforded an opportunity to defend themselves prior to the adoption of the resolution in accordance with Article 41, Paragraph 4 of the Kenyan Football Federation statuses. Finally, please feel free to provide us with any document Finally, please feel free to provide us with any document which the National Executive Committee deemed relevant in adopting the resolution. We would be grateful to receive the above mentioned documents and information by the 1st of May, which was yesterday, in order to enable FIFA and CAF to complete their assessment of the situation in a timely manner. We thank you in advance for your cooperation and remain at your disposal should you require any clarification. Now, this is a statement written to CAF, written to FIFA, to the Kenyan Football Federation. Now, the matter is now at the hands of CAF along with FIFA, who will work together to deliberate everything that transpired. We need proof as to what led to the decision to relieve the officials of their duty or provisionally suspend them or cautionally suspend them, as we call it now, precautionary suspension or special leave, as we like to call them now. Moving on to another story that's been attracting a lot of media attention and controversy. Now, we've heard Gayton McKenzie, Mr. Gayton McKenzie, who's the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, has been very vocal about the spectators that have been traveling to the AFCONs, the fifth, especially Joyce Chauke, who's been very vocal, expressing displeasure with the decision that was taken by Mr. Gayton McKenzie, who stated that no fans will not be financed by government to travel to international tournaments, namely your FIFA World Cups, and of course the Africa Cup of Nations and the WAFCON, just to name a few. Now, speaking now, a media statement was released on the 29th of April, which was Wednesday, on the World Cup Lucky Fan on a state on the World Cup Lucky Fans competition, which was put out by Minister Gayton McKenzie. However, speaking to Sports Night Amplified, Mama Joy Chauke has been vocal about the matter, saying she has never been financed, she has never been backed by government. She's financed all her trips going from the FIFA World Cups to the Africa Cup of Nations. She financed her own trip to Morocco and Egypt and all the other places. Other spectators, you could see other spectators who've been regulars on the continental tournaments, namely your um, Marcelo Machaka, who's a staunch supporter of Kaiser Chiefs. Bottom Silla, who's a Siwelele supporter. Now, I have the statement in my hand regarding the World Cup Lucky Fans competition, which was introduced, where 20 lucky fans will get to win a trip of a lifetime to back Bafana Bafana at the FIFA World Cup. The statement reads, the statement is meant for all media editors and journalists, stating the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, the DSAC, is proud to announce the launch of the Mzansi to the World Cup Lucky Fans competition, a bold initiative aimed at celebrating South Africa's vibrant football culture and giving ordinary fans a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to experience the 2026 World Cup live. Through this competition, newly 20 passionate fans through this competition, 20 passionate South African supporters will be selected to travel either to the United States or Mexico to attend one of the Bafana Bafana games. Now, two of the games will be played in Mexico by Bafana Bafana, with the first one being at the Azteca Stadium in what was once the one of the biggest football stadiums in the world, where they'll be playing the opener against the co-hosts in Mexico, while the other one will be played in Guadalajara. The Bafana will be based in Pachuca at the Universidad del Fútbol, while the second game will be played at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which is based in Atlanta, Georgia. The statement goes on to say, through this competition, 20 passionate South African supporters will be selected to either travel to the United States or Mexico to attend one of Bafana's group stages. The initiative forms part of the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, broader commitment to uniting the nation through sport, promoting national pride, showcasing and sport spirit, the energy and spirit on the global stage. Fans from all 16 PSL clubs will have an opportunity to represent their teams, with additional wild card entries that every South African supporter has a fair chance to participate in, regardless of the club affiliation. To enter, main members of the public are required to visit the DSAC, I beg your pardon, website, where they can access submission link to the and competition details. Participants must upload a 30-second video demonstrating their passion for football, their club loyalty, and why they deserve to represent South Africa at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Entries open on 29 April, which was Wednesday 8 a.m. and have since closed on the 1st of May, which was yesterday at 5 p.m. Winners will receive a fully sponsored travel package, including international flights, accommodation, match tickets, and of course, transport to the venues. The Minister of Sport Department the Minister and Deputy Ministers of Sport, Arts and Culture will officially announce the winners on the 5th of May at 8 a.m., which will be this coming Tuesday. So if you have entered the competition, be on the lookout. And of course, not forgetting, the department encouraged all South Africans to take part in this exciting campaign by visiting the DSAC website. You can look up the DSAC website on your internet and submit your entry, while proudly showcasing the passion, diversity, and the unity that define our nation. Now, the competition has since expired. However, now the show is broadcast on Saturday. If you had any desire to take part in the competition, unfortunately, the competition, the closing date was yesterday. However, be on the lookout further for further competitions that might transpire along with your future sponsors and other brands that I cannot mention. Reason being, we all things football is not for free advertising, therefore I cannot mention any of them. On to our score results from last week. Betway Premiership saw Chippa United put fast past one, came from a goal down to win by 5 goals to 1, whilst Kukuna United and Marimo Gallants could not be separated, playing to a 1-0 draw. Kaiser Chiefs and Orlando Pirates also played to a 1-0 draw, first 1-1 draw since 2018-2019, with goals from Mpule Modi and, of course, Nkamogelo Sibelebele in the second half. Both second half goals, Polokwane City remain unbeaten at the Peter Mkaba Stadium, having lost just once to Orlando Pirates by an odd goal. TS Galaxy and Magesi could not be separated. Bernard Parker's game in charge, playing to a goalless draw since the sacking of coach Inan Baganovic. Richards Bay and Mamelodi Sundowns also could not be separated, playing to a goalless draw. Premier League results saw Fulham play beating Aston Villa, who are challenging for Champions League spot by an odd goal, while West Ham proved too strong for Everton in their fight for survival in the Premier League, beating them by 2 goals to 1. Wolves going down to London side Tottenham Hotspur. Now, one of the London sides might be on the receiving, might find themselves relegated come end of the season, or today or tomorrow might find one of the two, either West Ham or Tottenham Hotspur, being relegated. Liverpool winning by 3 goals to 1 against Crystal Palace, while Arsenal will prove too strong with a first half goal by Eberichi Eze, beating them by an odd goal. Manchester United returned to winning ways after losing to Leeds United in a well-known rivalry on Monday Night Football, by beating the Bees by 2 goals to 1. Champions League results in the first leg semi-finals took place in what was when Tuesday, in what we saw in what was an entertaining encounter that kicked us off with Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern Munich. Paris, the defending champions, versus six-time winners in Bayern Munich. PSG, defending champions, proving too strong in what was an entertaining encounter, winning by 5 goals to 4, while Atletico Madrid proved and Arsenal could not be separated, with playing to a 1-all draw. Now the Golden Boot competition intensifies in what has been a very entertaining in UEFA Champions League season for the year 2025-2026, which many feel has leveled the playing field, has exposed the frailties in big teams, the league phase that is, while certain individuals have been divided. Now the decision to make the Champions League the way it is has had opinions divided. Now we are all entitled to our opinions. However, some do feel that the tournament is now the decision to make it a league phase is now level of the playing field. Others feel otherwise. What do you think of the UEFA Champions League new format? Is it any good? Is it bearing fruit? Do you agree with the sentiments that the frailties have been exposed? You have your say. Talk to me on all things football. If you like the show, please comment, like, and subscribe. We are on YouTube, All Things Football, Football Unpacked. All things football, underscore 14 on TikTok and Instagram. Please like and subscribe, like and share the videos, and like the page on All Things Football Unpacked, where your comments are welcome. Let's have a look at the race for the Golden Boot in the UEFA Champions League. Currently leading the charts is Kylian Mbappe of Real Madrid with 15 goals. Despite Kylian Real Madrid currently out of the tournament, Harry Kane is second on the charts with 13 goals. Harry Kane needs just 2 goals to topple the current scorer. Therefore, needs 3 goals to set his own record, and of course, in turn, make the race for the Golden Boot more interesting. However, they are now currently on the Golden Boot race. We have players from Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid, and of course Paris Saint-Germain and Atletico Madrid, Paris Saint-Germain, and Bayern Munich, which are three sides led by Harry Kane, and 13, Julian Alvarez by 10, Kvaratskhelia by 13 of PSG, and of course Luis Diaz leading by or currently sitting on 7, while Gordon, Erling Haaland, and of course Victor Osimhen are currently out of the tournament, along with the top goal scorer in Kylian Mbappe, who plays his trade for Real Madrid. Assist leaders currently leading the chart, currently on the top of the charts. Michael Olise, who's currently sitting on 8, alongside Vinicius Junior, will need one more to topple the Real Madrid winger, whose real side has been eliminated from the tournament. Ashraf Hakimi follows by 6, and of course Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is currently on 5, despite Olympique Marseille currently eliminated from the tournament. Antoine Griezmann and Kvaratskhelia currently at the bottom, both sitting on all three of them are rather sitting on 5. Betway Premiership results: Welele FC too strong for Kaizer Chiefs, beating them by 2 goals to 0. Goals from Tebogo Potsane, who formerly played for Kaizer Chiefs, and of course Spacey Jeza, while an odd late goal from Marcelo Allende was enough to sink Mamelodi Sundowns, to sink Polokwane City at the Seshego Stadium. Now, Polokwane City had to take their game to Seshego Stadium due to the May Day events that due to the stadium that was meant to be used by now the Seshego Stadium was the game had to be played at the Seshego Stadium. Reason being, the old Peter Mkaba Stadium had to be used for the May Day celebrations, in which President Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa had to have his say regarding the celebration of the public holiday. Let's have a look at what transpired last night. Betway Premiership or Premier League results rather, or result. We saw Leeds United currently on the fight for survival, beating Burnley already relegated Burnley by 3 goals to 1. Here's what you can expect this week. Currently, with our first game kicks off at 1600 hours. Brentford take on West Ham in a London derby. A win for West Ham will ensure safety, while an already relegated Wolves will face Sunderland. Newcastle will take on Brighton. Will close off the day with Arsenal taking on Fulham. Sunday sees Bournemouth taking on Crystal Palace, while Manchester United will renew their rivalry in a battle of the Reds against Liverpool. Aston Villa will play the last game against Tottenham Hotspur. Kickoff for that fixture is at 2000 hours. Monday will see a double header. First game kicks off at 4 p.m. South African time, 1600 hours, due to a public holiday in the with Monday being a public holiday in the UK. Therefore, we'll have an afternoon kickoff, something we never get in the Premier League. Besides Boxing Day, Chelsea will face off against Nottingham Forest, while we close off the night with Monday Night Football with Everton taking on Manchester City. Betway Premiership now Nedbank Cup. We turn our attention, bringing it back home, where we see Durban City taking on Chiefs Galaxy at the new Peter Mokaba Stadium. Kickoff for that fixture is at 1800 hours. Sunday will see a Betway Premiership fixture with Mamelodi Sundowns. Our only game in the Betway Premiership will see Mamelodi Sundowns take on Polokwane City in a return fixture, which took place on Wednesday afternoon. Will be played on Sunday, this time at Loftus, as the defending champions currently go on a quest to go for that second star in a game that will now be played on the 17th of May instead of the 15th at Loftus Stadium. Now, there's been debate on whether the game should be on the dates of the game. However, it will stay tuned to All Things Football, where we'll keep you posted with when the game transpires, whether or not it will be played on the 15th, on the 17th. There's talks of the game being moved to the 17th or on the 15th, because it's been ruled up, because the game has been ruled out for the 16th of May, as the venue will be used for the United Rugby Championship encounter between the Vodacom Blue Bulls and Benetton. UEFA Champions League fixture semi-finals, second leg takes center stage on Tuesday, where we are going to see on the 5th of May Arsenal taking on Atletico Madrid, as they carry a 1-1 draw. Both sides are yet to win the Champions League, with Arsenal finishing as runners-up in 2006 at the hands of losing to Barcelona, while Atletico Madrid fell short twice to their neighbors Real Madrid in 2014 and 2016. While Wednesday we'll see four 6-time winners Bayern Munich welcome Paris Saint-Germain, who are defending champions at the Munich Arena, where but the visitors and defending champions will be carrying a 5-4 lead. Now 5-0, 4-0, 4-1 are very easy score lines to overturn. This we've seen in the new UEFA Champions Leagues. If you follow the Champions League, or if you've been following the Champions League over the years, here's what you can also expect in the Betway Premiership this week. Midweek football. Tuesday, we'll see Chippa United taking on Skokune United at the Buffalo City Stadium. Magesi will take on Orbit College at the Sishiko Stadium. Siwalele FC will take on Durban City at the Lucas with the Dr. Malamela Stadium. And of course, not forgetting Stellenbosch will be facing off against Orlando Pirates at the Athlone Stadium. Wednesday, we'll see Amazulu taking on Golden Arrows. Mamelodi Sundowns welcome Kaizer Chiefs at Loftus. Kaizer Chiefs are yet to win at the Lobsters since the year 2021, the 2020-21 season, the pre-COVID era, and of course, Marimo Gallants take on Tigers Galaxy at the Dr. Malamela Stadium. We close off with Richards Bay playing against Polokwane City at the Umhlatuza Sports Complex, where PSL teams have had a hard time winning. And as we build up we're just 40 days away from the kickoff to the FIFA World Cup, football's biggest showpiece. The Cup of Dreams also comes to a close today. Kickoff for that fixture. Don't forget to watch that show on your channel of choosing. Be it the game rather will be available on both SABC1 and your World of Champions. The build-up will start from 1700 hours, 5 p.m. Central African Time, or 4 p.m. 6 p.m. 4 p.m. local time, and 1700 hours Central African Time or South African Time. Now, Durban City have the home advantage over TS Galaxy. Now, when we talk of a home advantage in terms of a cup game in football, not in rugby, you have, if we had a Bulls Lions game, a home final for the Bulls, the game will most likely be played in Loftus. However, if Lions were to host the game would most likely be played at the Ellis Park Stadium. However, with the Durban City game, we're going to use a neutral venue. Therefore, despite a neutral venue, Durban City will still have the home ground benefits, going from the hot jersey, a kit of their choosing, a dressing room of their choosing, a tunnel of their choosing, and of course a dugout of their choosing. That's all we need to. That's all we have time for the week of for this week's episode of All Things Football. Let's do it again, same time, same place next week. Thank you in advance for tuning in. Thank you in advance for tuning in. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. We're on YouTube, All Things Football Unpacked. Or of course, we are at All Things Football _14 on Instagram and TikTok. Facebook, like and subscribe to the page. Like the page, All Things Football Unpacked. YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell for new episodes for the premiere of the new episodes, which premiere every Saturday at lunch hour, getting you ready for the week of football that lies ahead. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you want to hear. Tell me what I need to work on. If you're not happy with my way of presenting, or you feel my presenting needs improvement, you are free to talk to me. That's all we have time for this week. Enjoy the show and enjoy the football. Take care of yourselves and each other. Cheers.